What Moves the Dead by T. Kingfisher, which is apparently a reimagining of Poe's The Fool of the House of Usher, which is a book I have not read, so I cannot say if it is what similarities it has. I wouldn't know. Anyway, it's a very short Gothic horror thriller kind of thing. I'm not too sure. Honestly, I wasn't scared at any point of the book. I was a bit creeped out, more like disgusted, like, ooh, I do not want to be imagining this thing. This kind of feels disgusting. That's kind of the all I got. Anyway, so how to say it? What is his name? Alex. It's Alex Easton, isn't it? Yes, Alex Easton. So he is. He's a retired soldier, and he receives word from a childhood friend that Madeline Usher. Oh, Madeline Usher. Oh, that's where it gets from. Okay, she's dying, and basically, yeah. So he goes to her home where her brother Roderick, this is me trying to remember names, and also a doctor, was like Dalton or Deaton or whatnot. Does it say? Just says American doctor. Well, that's very helpful. Anyway, there's a bit of like, I don't know honestly how much to say without actually just spoiling the whole thing, because it's very short and not that much happens, let's be honest. So she's dying, and she's dying, and she's kind of like frail and not very well movable, I guess, when he meets her, when he first arrives. But then she's just sort of like walking around at night, sleepwalking or whatnot. And it's like, this is weird. And then at some point, so Alex sort of starts investigating, and we're like, what is he really investigating? Because there's not really anything to investigate so far. But at one point, quite early on, he kind of sees these hares, and they're behaving weirdly. And a spoiler and a bit of a disclaimer, because at one point he shoots a hare in the head, and you'd think it would be, you know, not alive, but it keeps moving. So you can sort of tell, but by the cover of this book as well, that except for, I mean, the dead hare, but I think it's supposed to be like a skeleton of a hare, but it's all in like fungi. And basically, there's this like alien species, fungi, who's taking over dead bodies. Yeah. And Madeline may not actually be alive. No. Honestly, it was so weird. For the most part, I got very much like, oh, what's that name? Daniel Radcliffe did a movie of it. What's the Woman in Black? I read the book and I saw the movie, which is, I don't really understand it. I'm not gonna lie. I don't understand the point of it. Let's say that. Because basically in that, this character that Daniel Radcliffe plays, because I cannot remember, he is mostly alone, and he goes to this house in the middle of nowhere, and there's ghosts and stuff. That is kind of the vibe I got from this book, and I don't know if I liked it or not. And honestly, it kind of ends on a good note, so now I'm wondering, what the hell is book 2? Because there's a book 2. I have it. Where is it? I have it. Here. Hang on. It's stuck. I have book 2. And, it's as skinny. So I'm like, what's happening? What's happening? I'm gonna read it to find out, but also you could probably just read this one if you wanna read it, but I'm gonna go read book 2 and see what the hell, because I don't know. Why not? So, book 2. I kind of hesitate to call this a duology, mainly because it kind of feels like they're 2 different books, only taking place in 2 different places, but it has the same, sort of the same characters. So we have Alex Easton and we have two others, who's come from book 1, but I feel that you could just read this book if you wanna and not have read the, what's it called? The first book? What is the first book called? I just read it. How in the world have I forgotten it already? I feel like if you wanted to, you could just read this book and not the first book, What Moves the Dead. If you wanted to, because this one could stand as a standalone. There are a few mentions here and there from what happens in book 1, but not mentions enough that you don't understand what's happening in this one. So I feel like it's more like they're 2 standalones with sort of the same characters, some of the same characters. Anyway, so this one takes place in Alex's inherited hunting cabin kind of thing, and we kind of have the same fungi issue, but not really. It's a different kind of thing. It's not the alien species that we sort of get in book 1. It's a totally different thing. This one, the killer, the alien species, as it were, it's more what comes to you in dreams, and it's what was it called? It was called something like, I want to say Moroi, but also I might be getting that from Vampire Academy. I forget. Anyway, it's supposedly this woman who kind of sits on your chest until you are stop breathing. Yeah. And we get a couple of scenes like that. It happens to Alex and another character who is the grandson of a lady who comes to clean the cabin, comes to clean and cook for the people in the cabin. I don't know about these 2 books, honestly. I think with these 2, I think Kingfisher hasn't really hit the mark for me, as it were. I'm gonna put this down now. I'm not sure. I mean, these are maybe not the best books to get into the Kingfisher bookiverse. I don't know what to call it. Books. I know she seems to have written like, these are horror, right? Yeah, these are on the horror section. But I do know there's like Paladin something. There's like 4 books, I think, which all like Paladins something. I think those are under fantasy, so I'm waiting for the first book of those. That's the only reason I'm mentioning it. And I do have a couple of standalones on hold as well, so I don't know. These may have not been the right books to start with, or to, you know, read at all. They didn't hit the mark for me. But I mean, bonus, they're super short. How long are they? 150 pages. Yeah. I mean, they might have been a different thing had I been like a fan of Poe's, what was it, the Usher, full of House, Usher House, I don't remember. It might have been, excuse me, it might have been a different thing had I known about that story and been a fan of that story. I don't know. But these 2 didn't really hit the mark, but very, very short. So, bonus. Yes. Yes. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I shall see you all next time. Till then, take care. Bye-bye.